take these things with a pinch of salt, sort of Rotten Tomatoes, sort of percentages and what have you. But last year, Santa with Muscles, 22%.
22%. So
this year, 43%.
Which is quite a noticeable difference.
It certainly is.
However, they are films, Christmas films, that are actually worse than Santa with Muscles.
Impossible. David, what are these cinematic atrocities that you speak of?
Luke, presenting, and this is even going to end up in this video or part of a separate one. Luke, here are, according to Rotten Tomatoes, the top 5 worst Christmas movies that make Santa with Muscles look like a masterpiece.
These have got to be really, really bad. Go on.
At number 5, we have The Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause, starring Tim Allen and Martin Short. Now, the first Santa Claus movie was actually really, really good, wasn't it?
Well,
it was.
Yes.
It was a charming family.
Yeah,
Christmas film.
it was certainly at the height of Tim Allen's fame with Disney and with Home Improvement and what have you.
The sequel, not quite as good. It got a lower score on Rotten Tomatoes. It wasn't really necessary, but yeah, still fairly harmless.
But they made a third one.
They made a third one, and despite the fact that Martin Short is quite good as the villainous Jack Frost, this film is dreadful, and Tim Allen clearly does not want to be there.
Yes.
It got 15% on Rotten Tomatoes, which officially makes it a worse film than Santa with Muscles.
That's awful. Right.
It gets worse.
Oh,
At number 4, Surviving Christmas, starring everyone's favourite Batman, Ben Affleck. Where basically he plays a rich bloke who doesn't have any family, so he pays a family to pretend to be his family over Christmas. And yes, it's just as obnoxious and unpleasant to watch as you can imagine.
Oh. And don't tell me. I'm just going to have a guess here. The family that he's paid to be his family, all of a sudden he considers himself to be their real family, and his heart melts, and the spirit of Christmas is all. I'm sorry, I'm going to kill myself.
Oh well, you've just summed it up nicely there. No need to bother watching the film.
Go on.
It gets worse. Slightly lower than 7%, we have Deck the Hall, starring Danny DeVito and Matthew Broderick. 6% on Rotten Tomatoes. Basically, you know, there's always one person in your street who wants to completely overdo it with the Christmas decorations.
Yeah.
Well, imagine that, but it's two guys trying to outdo each other.
Oh, for God's sake.
Now, that's something that would probably make a good 10-minute sketch on Saturday Night Live, perhaps. This extends to 2 hours long. Move on. Oh, Tim Allen really needs to stay away from Christmas movies, because at number 2 we have Christmas with the Cranks.
That's awful.
Christmas with
That's awful.
Christmas with the Cranks, starring Tim Allen and Jamie Lee Curtis. 5% on Rotten Tomatoes, where basically their daughter sort of goes away for the holidays. They decide that they're also going to escape Christmas and what have you, and all these hilarious shenanigans happen. Dan Aykroyd's there as a really creepy neighbour for some reason, and we get the sides of Tim Allen and Jamie Lee Curtis getting sexually turned on by each other, which is I'm not too sure how I feel about that, to be honest with you. But
well, at first repulsed.
It is
5%.
5%, but at number 1,
Right.
with 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, wait a second. There's a film on Rotten Tomatoes that has got 0%.
0%, meaning that all those previous films I mentioned did have some redeemable qualities. This one has precisely no redeemable qualities whatsoever.
This has got to be really, really bad.
This is the animated version of A Christmas Carol, starring an incredibly creepy-looking, motion-captured Jim Carrey.
Now that's actually rather recent, isn't it?
It's very recent, yes.
That's not too long ago.
Yes. And it's deemed to be so bad. This is even worse than the Grinch. I mean, the Grinch didn't score particularly well either on Rotten Tomatoes, but it still had enough redeemable features in there. But there is absolutely nothing redeemable about A Christmas Carol with Jim Carrey whatsoever. Everything about the film is just wrong, unpleasant, uncomfortable to look at, and one of the worst adaptations of the Charles Dickens classic you can possibly imagine.
Which basically begs the question, how the hell can you mess up an adaptation of A Christmas Carol? How? How can you do that?
Well, we'll find out, because that's what we're going to be reviewing next year.
The fucking hell we are.
Well, okay. We either review... Okay, well, we either review one of those films next year for Christmas,
Right.
or...
Perfectly fine with me, Christmas Carol it is.
Oh, no. I'd rather do another Godfrey Ho marathon.